guests, welcome to today's club meeting. We have a thought for the day. Is Greg here? Greg, you're up.
Well, good afternoon, and I know want to welcome our viewers on Zoom or on other networks that are seeing this program. And I hope that none of you hit Keys to Arturo on the way downtown today, because I was able to avoid a couple of them myself on the road. All right, anyway, we're honored to have special guests here today. We have some leadership of the Shortridge High School Key Club, and we're so happy to have Miss Judy and Chelsea here, and they've been stalwart on working with that high school for the food bank and for concerns for the environment and cleanups. I had written something after we had a graduation ceremony there, and this was what I thought that they were advocating in their group, which is a fabulous group at Shortridge. And that's not to say that other key clubs are not as well. They are advocating a better overall education system that promotes scholarship with curiosity and deep understanding of history and its lessons, a country welcoming to all races, gender, faiths, and immigrants, a better environment reducing waste and fossil fuels and mercury, a better realization that you must be disciplined to work together to solve complex problems, a realization of the importance of your teachers, school, and parents, a realization of how to use science, law, and your own ideas with respect to others and to promote lasting values, never forgetting that we all make mistakes, and a realization you can each make a difference, a realization you can change the world with acts of love and kindness, a realization that hatred is death to the spirit and mind. And as Caleb Mills said, as an early educator here in Indianapolis, and Shortridge is named with him, a disciplined mind and cultured heart are elements of power. A disciplined mind and cultured heart are elements of power. That's right. There are two other guests that I want to introduce that we have, and I'm sure we have other guests, but Judy O'Bannon is here from our First Lady of Indiana. She was at the Key Club event at Shortridge. As you probably know, she's the producer of many, many PBS specials, I think 89. The most recently being The Common Thread, which is now on YouTube. A philanthropist and advocate for freedom of the press, and involved with the Corrigan Democrat, a small newspaper of importance. My other guest is Jeff Samoyan. Jeff, a longtime friend, I think CEO still of MS Broadcasting across the circle here, the former owner of the Seattle Mariners, a diplomat and an activist and a humble person. I just want to tell you how important it is that we are able to have them both here today. So I was going to ask with Kelly's permission for Judy to come up here for a minute and just give us a quick thought about freedom of the press and small newspapers and how important they are and can be. And then I'm going to ask Jeff to do the same. Judy?
Okay, I think the fact that there are not 100 of us in this room, that over generations has been where people who were involved came together, exchanged ideas, and went out and did stuff, gives us all a real snapshot view of where we are today. And one of the things that we all decry in the mess our country's in is that social media, it's unregulated, but what does that mean in a free society? I do come from a family, I'm married into newspaper people. A year and a half ago, we sold the paper we owned 150 some years. I hung on longer than economically was profitable. But very much realized, having been through some years where the newspaper was where everybody went. If you're gonna have a bake sale, you had it on our corner. If you wanted to find out who was sick and who wasn't, you went down and asked somebody that worked in the front office. It isn't that way anymore. And just what you all know about rising prices, insurance for employees and all that, couldn't hang on any longer. There's a newspaper down there now. It's on the cheesiest paper you can imagine. The ink bleeds through. They had 3 pretty good articles this week by good writers and thinkers, but they're all talking about religion and what's appropriate. There was no local opinion since I closed my mouth about a year and a half ago and quit writing a column. But we even were reduced to my little column in the 4-H people. If we call ourselves a representative form of democracy, we've got to be engaged. And it's awful easy to say it's all too complex and disturbing to me. I'm just gonna go back and do at my house what's comfortable. In this election, we can't afford to do that. We have to know, you gotta know what's going on, or you don't know how to plug in. And if you don't have local news like these girls are doing in a new format, trying out something new to see if a not-for-profit online is gonna work. Because I was saying about today's meeting, who wants to get up from their computer where they're doing their regular business and eating something out of the refrigerator and come downtown and get a valet parking? How many people can afford to do that? Well, there's.
Can't afford it, but I want to.
Well, all right, you got the want to. When I say it's up to us, who know about free press, is how you connect in and make people involved. We gotta give them the want tos. Thank you.
Yes, Jeff, please.
Not thrilled about following Judy O'Bannon. Now, listen, I remember I did the Aspen Institute for many years, and a number of years ago, Arthur Salzberg of the New York Times was sitting with a group of us, and he said, look, I think we will survive, and I think we'll be able to survive because we're sort of the world's news gathering enterprise, because I think the Wall Street Journal will survive and the Washington Post will survive. He said, I'm not sure about everything else, and those words were 15 years ago. And that seems to be where we are today. I think I was telling Greg, I told my friend Clay Robbins many years ago, someday you're gonna have to own the Indianapolis Star. The problem with the newspaper business is it's not economically viable. Judy talked about that. Hopefully we have things like we're doing in Indianapolis with daily online newspapers. I applaud that effort, I read it every day. We have got to have a democracy that functions, and I don't know how you have a democracy that functions without a free independent press. And we are sort of the crisis stage of that. So many people get misinformed by going on social media, they go down rabbit holes. We have to have a press. I remember a number of years ago, I was in Washington, we talked to a Republican and Democrat back to back, and they both said, without an independent press, who holds us accountable? And the problem is we're not holding enough people accountable. And I worry about the future of our democracy. Judy alluded to it. I feel just as strongly. But I think it starts with an independent press where people can find out what's going on. And I'll close with one thing that probably frightens me more than anything. In 1974, we had a congressman named Earl Langry. Some of you may remember him, most don't. I'm not sure his family remembers it now, but he was a congressman from Northwest Indiana. And the day before Richard Nixon resigned, they said, where are you on Nixon? He said, I'm with him all the way. And the reporter said, what about the facts? And Earl Langry said, don't confuse me with the facts. That statement ended his career. Today, don't confuse me with the facts is half of America. And we have to make sure that the American public is confused with the facts each and every day. Thank you.
Roger, just wants
You've had your time.
I want to thank both of our guests for those words of wisdom. Roger.
I agree. And what's worse than following Mrs. O'Bannon is following Mrs. O'Bannon and Mr. Smollett. So, it's my pleasure to introduce Key Club Lieutenant Governor for our district in Indiana, Miss Sweet Knight from Shortridge High School. She's where are you this year? Sophomore? Junior now? Joined when she was a freshman. That club has been in action for 2 years now. With her is Mrs. Chelsea English, here in the dark. She's our faculty advisor, and I'll tell you, these clubs do not last without a great faculty advisor. And I think the kids even like her, which is a plus. Thanks for all you do, Chelsea. We appreciate it. And Sweet has her mother with her today. We're glad to see you. Glad you were able to join us. So I'm going to turn it over to Sweet's got just a few words to talk about the Key Club and the Lieutenant Governorship. Sweet?
Hello everyone, my name is Judy. It is a great pleasure being here. Excuse me. First of all, I would like to thank the Kiwanis Club of Indianapolis for inviting us and for giving me the opportunity to speak. It's a great pleasure to be here and a great honor to have the opportunity to speak about the wonderful things Shortridge Key Club has been doing. As Roger said, my name is Sweet Knight, and I currently serve as the president of Shortridge Key Club, as well as the Indy Metro Lieutenant Governor. And just a few introduction, I will be a junior once the school year starts again. But introductions aside, Shortridge Key Club has undergone a progressive and very successful development these past 2 years. Since it has been rechartered in January of 2023. During that time, it was the second semester of my school year, so these couple of months were full of trial and errors, like figuring out what meeting times were the best, what location was the best, and the pros and cons of the types of fundraisers and service projects we were planning on doing. So it was a lot of learning and a lot of reflection as well. But we took all these notes of how to improve and we applied it to the first semester of the 2023-2024 service year. So from August to December, with the help of the Kiwanis Club of Indianapolis, we were able to go to the district events, such as Fall Rally and Key Leader, and these all helped us to grow, to learn, to socialize with all these different key clubbers from across Indiana. So it was a great, great opportunity. Some fundraisers we've been doing, some creative ideas were very successful. For our Halloween fundraiser, we were selling ghost crayons, decorated as ghosts, lollipops decorated as ghosts, and then we were also selling singing telegrams, where we sang the Monster Mash to those in our Halloween costumes, to those who paid. But that was a very creative idea, and we're thinking of doing that again this year, so hopefully that'll be successful as well. Some other events we have hosted, other, successful events we've done are partnering with teen responders to help learn about mental health and to build healthy coping skills. And then, of course, that semester, along with our induction ceremony, we ended the year exchanging Secret Santa Christmas gifts with each Key Clubber, so that was good. This year, though, from January to now, we have been busy. Our greatest success is probably our Shortridge Community Closet that has been in effect, and, that has been on the news as well, so you should read those if you haven't. But anyways, it was a great opportunity for us to make that positive impact, to promote that positive service within our community, to help others around us, just as Key Club is meant to do. So some other things about me being an LTG, that was me being a president of our club, but me being an LTG, my role is obviously to be the communicator between different clubs in the Indy Metro Division, and some things I have done to uphold my role is planning a division-wide service project. So in March, I was able to plan a division-wide service project, a spring cleaning service at my church. We were able to plant more plants, clean up all the trash, and we were able to get to meet excuse me, different key clubbers from different schools in our division, such as Speedway Key Club. That was our first time meeting the key clubbers from Speedway Key Club, so that was a great opportunity for us to learn more about them and to develop a closer connection with, these different key clubbers from within our division. And that was also the day of Key Club International's birthday, so what a better way to celebrate it than to do service. Aside from that, the end of this year was spending, was developing the end of the year ceremony, which was also the grand opening of our community closet, as I said earlier. And it was a day of great joy and excitement. Well, at least for me, I hope that was the same case for those that were there. But yes, it definitely involved lots of planning, lots of applying for a grant, time spent on donation drives for clothing, non-perishable food items, and hygiene products. So, and of course, in addition to that, hours and hours of planning, of working, physical work inside of the closet. Fun fact, we also changed locations of the closet, so we're working hard on making that room.
We have 2 rooms now.
Yes.
We got big enough that we have 2 rooms.
Yep.
Yeah.
There were lots of donations. So despite how exhausted we were, we felt proud and accomplished that we were able to achieve such a positive impact within our community. And I'm very grateful for Miss English for helping us and always guiding us along the way. She was a great help. And we've done a multitude of things over these past 2 years to become the best version of ourselves. And of course, with the unlimited room of growth, we cannot wait for the new school year to start and to continue to promote positive service within our community. Thank you so much. Forgive me for some of my mistakes.
I wish I had that kind of energy. So we are circulating a sympathy card for the family of Philip Nicely, who passed away this past week. He joined in 1974, and before practicing at Bose McKinney for 5 decades, he was senior class president and played basketball at Shortridge. Visitation is tomorrow from 4 to 7 at Leopard Mortuary in Nora. A few upcoming events. Our next board meeting is July 23rd, as well as that evening, 5:30 at Lavino on Mass Avenue is our social supper. Just text or email me or whatever, however you want to communicate, and let me know that you want to attend. It should be fun. Chuck, Eric, or Mike, do you have an announcement? One of you?
All 3.
All 3.
You want to go first?
Yeah, all right, we can all go together. It's informal.
Yeah. Our plan is to get together and tell some good stories of what time we've spent at the Indianapolis 500 and the 500 Festival with our different involvements. We got 2 yellow shirts and a former board member, so I can give you inside scoop on Florence Henderson and Jim Neighbors.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Gasoline Alley and what we do at the track. Chuck and I both work in Gasoline Alley. And will it just be a fun program? We want to hear everybody else's great stories.
I'm sure
Everybody's got
you
great
have lots of good stories,
right?
Roger, I know you do.
Oh,
Yeah.
if not, I'll make some up.
That's right. Embellish your stories so everybody else can enjoy them.
So tell them
Particularly
when.
snake pit stories
And when is this?
in the early 70s.
This is next Thursday.
Next
Next
Thursday.
Thursday's luncheon, Zoom meeting.
July 23rd.
Yeah,
On
it's
Zoom.
on
Zoom.
Zoom.
July 18th.
So,
July 18th.
July 18th, okay.
All right. Okay.
Should be fun for everyone.
And you know we record that, so keep the stories,
I think there might be trouble in River City that day. I don't know about these people. Yes. Okay, another thing that we're doing is Karen Burns is going to have an open house at her place on Tuesday, July 30th. So again, let me know, text or email me and let me know if you want to come, and we'll get you her address. It'll be in the evening. Bring your own booze. There'll be light refreshments. So just let me know. It's just going to be a social time at her place. She lives in downtown Indianapolis, so it might be interesting. Give it a try. Okay, so our own Graham Honecker and Alex Core are going to talk about their new book, A Blessing, Not a Burden, on August 22nd at the Columbia Club, and he'll bring Austin Parkinson on September 12th to provide an update on Butler's women basketball. For your convenience, we can always find the list of upcoming programs in the indykiwanis.org. And 3 upcoming programs will also be on the homepage, so you can go to upcoming events. Okay, former CKI Governor Tom Eubank's image is on the official wall at KI headquarters. We were there a few weeks ago with the Abilene Scholars Scholarship Program, and it was just nice to see his face up there. So if you've never been up to KI, it's on the north side of Indianapolis by the pyramids, just to go in and take a tour. It's just a fabulous building, and Roger and his crew built the building? Designed the building. So there you go. We've got connections all over the place here. Yes, there you go. We've got all sorts of things here. Roger and I were at the International Convention last week in Denver over the 4th of July. Just a couple things that you might be interested in. Yes, the raising of the international dues did pass finally after a few years, so that's an increase of $25. No, digital voting did not pass. There were so many questions that were unable to be answered. People decided we don't have enough information to really vote on this, even though it's been brought up time and time again. So hopefully KI will get those who are really opposed and those who really want it together, and they can hash out issues, what it's going to cost to do all that. It's all the other issues. People are concerned that if the representatives from each club can vote online, why should they come to the convention? And it's a concern. So however many years ago, we used to have 20,000 people at these conventions. Leading on to what Mrs. O'Bannon said, we had 1,850 people there. That's a big change. That's a drastic decrease. And we know that clubs like ours and Sertoma and Rotary and all, club membership is down, so we need to reinvigorate our club and all the clubs so we can engage young people, and it may transform this club. We may not have meetings like this. It may be just projects. We don't know, but we need to get young people involved because we do such good work, and especially our club with our foundation. Over the next 175 days, we'd like to feature stories and memories of the impact of our foundation. Please share your thoughts and memories with me or by sending an email to Kiwanis. We need to know, people need to know how good our foundation is here at this downtown club. So let us know. We need to be proud of it. We need to share it. We need to spread the word of why Kiwanis is such a great organization and what our foundation does for that. Let's see. Now I'd like to introduce our speakers from Mirror Indy. Remember our February 2023 meeting with Bro Crift to talk about the local news initiative in Indiana, now known as Free Press Indiana, facilitating investments in journalism outlets around the state and fostering collaboration to amplify local journalism for all Hoosiers, especially underserved communities. In December, their first newsroom was launched, and we're so excited to welcome 2 reporters from the Mirror Indy. Carly, who focuses on K-12 Spent several years covering both K-12 and higher education for the Times of Northwest Indiana and the South Bend Tribune, and helped Inside Indiana Business launch a business and development newsletter in Northern Indiana. An IU grad, she loves to read, catch up with friends over brunch, and cheer on the Hoosiers. Claire, who focuses on higher education, previously covered business, development, and housing for Indy Star and interned at the Arizona Republic and Politico. She loves running, climbing, swimming, reading, and hanging out with other people's dogs and graduates from Notre Dame. She doesn't like the people, she just likes the dogs. Is that what I'm getting from that?
That's correct.
Okay, all right, you two, come on up. We're happy to have you.
Thanks so much for having us. We're honored to be here. I'm Claire, and this is Carly. As our speaker said, I cover higher education. Carly covers K through 12 for Indy, which is a new nonprofit newsroom covering Indianapolis communities, which I think we both say about 50 times a day, right?
Still getting the word out, yes.
Yes. So a little bit about Mirror. We launched in December. We have about 10 reporters covering everything from education like us to local government, business, and we have 2 neighborhood reporters covering the west side and the east side. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I'd just say editors and reporters all together, we've got a staff of maybe 25, which if you've watched the Indianapolis media market change and evolve over the last few years, it's actually quite large. We're seeing a lot of new nonprofits pop up in the kind of digital journalism space, and typically, you know, they have funding for maybe 2 or 3 reporters. So we are, you know, really grateful for the opportunity to take a larger team and also partner with a lot of these other outlets in the Indianapolis market. We know we're coming in new, but we want to make sure that we are being good partners and working together alongside some of the newsrooms that exist here today.
Yeah, and another thing that we should add is that Mirror Indy's 100% free, no paywall, and our stories are able to be picked up and republished by other outlets. So both of our stories have been republished in Chalkbeat, WFYI, Wish TV. Really, we just want to get the word out about the things we're reporting on as much as possible. So I cover higher education, which is an issue that is often overlooked in a place like Indianapolis. There have been higher education reporters at the Indy Star, but it's kind of a beat that's gone uncovered for a lot of years, been off and on. Really, a lot of the focus is on K through 12 as it should be. But Indianapolis is really interesting because it's not a college town in the sense of Bloomington and West Lafayette, but a lot of people do go to college here. You know, there's Ivy Tech, there's IUPUI, which has a massive number of students, and then obviously all the different private universities. So something I've really been focusing on a lot since I started on the beat 6 months ago is the way that the college student is changing. There are a lot of adult students who are kind of going back to school, relearning, upskilling. The college student is not an 18 to 22-year-old who moved away from home and is moving into a dorm and, you know, going to frat parties and all that stuff anymore. It's really a changing space, and that's something that I have been covering a lot and really want to continue covering college as an inclusive thing that is for everybody, not just something that you age out of when you turn 23 or 24. What are some of the things that you've been covering a lot, Carly?
Sure. So K-12, and we're even talking about what sets kids up for K-12. So early childhood, child care, the barriers that families could face when it comes to entering the workforce and having someone to look after their kids at home. We really want to, together as a team, cover the spectrum of the littlest kids to those adult learners, which is really wonderful to have a team to work on that with. So in the area where I work, there's a lot of education coverage in Indianapolis, surprisingly. Coming from small markets, I often found myself the only education reporter in town. You come to Indianapolis and there's there's coverage, but there's coverage at different levels, right? You have State House, you have Chalk Beat, which is talking a lot about school policy. Where I really find myself kind of carving out my beat is taking a look at what are the stories that aren't being told, who are the voices that aren't being heard, and what are the resources people need to know. So I've really found a sweet spot in talking to families and students, right? That's what brought us to Shortridge to learn about Key Club and their creation of a community closet. That story really covered all the basics for us, right? We were able to take and elevate something great that's happening in school, something that deserved recognition, and something that people may not have known about otherwise, that provides a resource to families in that community. And we haven't had a chance to catch up after, but we had hundreds of people read that story. So it's wonderful to come back here today and hear that you're growing as well. So we're looking for things like that. We are also looking to, help elevate student voice. One of the things that Mirror Indy and our parent organization, Free Press Indiana, are really dedicated to is speaking with the community and allowing the community to help us shape our coverage. We are actively going out, hosting community listening sessions. We have bi-weekly, we call them chat and choose, where you can come in and have lunch with us, and you'll see us out tabling. We're very active in being in the community. And one of the things that we've heard through these listening sessions is just that there's not enough attention paid to some of the good things that our students are doing, especially when you look at Indianapolis neighborhoods. I went to Lawrence Central High School. I can count the number of times my high school appeared in the media. Usually it was, swim coach does something bad or a large fight at school, right? So one of the things that we're hearing from the community is there's more to a school, more to a community than these things. And those stories that we're able to help share out about what students are doing helps change perception, not just in the community, but of what students see in themselves. So we see ourselves being a part of that bigger picture.
Yeah, and I'll just add that Carly has done a really amazing job of covering not just Indianapolis public schools, but Wayne Township schools, Warren Township schools, like you said, the schools that don't get a ton of media coverage, but there's so many amazing students and teachers doing really cool things. I'll just add too that I really find when I took this job covering higher education, my editor pitched this to me as, okay, you should not think of this job as covering IU and Purdue. You should think of it as you're covering Indianapolis college students. And that's something I've really tried to take to heart through some of the stories I've written. One of my favorites is Martin University, which is a very small university in the Martindale-Brightwood area. They have free childcare for their students, a free childcare center, because a lot of their students are older, a lot of them are parents. And Martin University doesn't get covered a lot because it is so small, and the vast majority of their students take night classes. But I went to their childcare center, and it was just such a fascinating look at something, like Carly said. It was supporting adult students in their education while also helping their kids get a leg up and spend time on a college campus. So that was really wonderful as well. I also find myself it's really difficult sometimes to tune out the noise of the bigger campuses like Purdue and IU. There's so much going on there, but we really are, like Carly said, hyper-focused on Indianapolis. And I thought that would be difficult when I started, but there is really so much going on in Indianapolis that it's not hard at all to keep my stories focused locally. Some goals I really want to achieve or things I'm interested in writing more about is I'd love to focus more on the experience of student parents, and I also really want to write more about higher education in prisons. Something I should mention is that my job is partially funded by Open Campus, which is a national nonprofit that supports higher ed reporters at outlets around the country. So there are lots of different reporters at nonprofit outlets in Cleveland and Texas and Florida, all over the place, which is really wonderful because I get to talk to my editors who know Indianapolis really well, and then I get to talk to editors who know higher education like the front and back of their hand, which is wonderful. But Open Campus has a prison education reporter full-time, and from reading their coverage, I just know there's there's so much going on in that area. So those are some things I want to cover more. So if anyone has any ideas about that, would love to hear them, or anything you just would love to see covered more. We're always open to ideas.
Yeah. I know we just threw a lot at you, but we're a small group, so we can be interactive. I would love to hear what questions you have for us. I'll just close with like our prepared comments by saying we had a great introduction that set up the state of journalism right now. I've worked in some of those small newsrooms, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's tough. It is really hard when you're, you know, feel the weight of covering a community and doing it justice with a small group of people. There's a lot of great reporters out there who are doing that work every day. I will say Mirror Indy is the most excited I've been at journalism since I was in college. It's really, it's an exciting time. You walk into our newsroom, life that bubbles up, you know, to our ears. It's just a fun place to be, a lot of creativity. And if you haven't checked us out already, go find our website. We have a newsletter and a texting service. I can find you after the talk and set you up with it. It's really fun. We just launched an arts and culture newsletter that is
So good.
So
It's
good.
amazing.
And if you're a newsletter reader, we have it there for you. But we also have partnered with folks in the arts and culture community who actually helped us create, like, if you're big into podcasts, that's the closest thing I can relate it to. They are reading our stories and talking about our stories. We're just really interested in like new story forms, and being an online first news outlet really allows us the creativity to do that. We are really invested in learning how people consume their news and not necessarily restricting us to any one story format. So that's been a fun adventure, but with the Mirror Indy team as well. So I'll stop talking. And I'd love to hear what questions you all have for us.
Yes.
Where does your funding come from?
That's a great question. So we are funded by, our Mirror Indy's funding is from Free Press Indiana. So they're kind of the nonprofit that like funds all of, there's only one outlet right now, we're the first. But if there are more to come, they will be the funding source for all of them. But we're funded by Lumina, the Glick Foundation. It's a donor-based system, but we also have several big grants from those organizations. Are there any that I'm missing? Those are the two I can think of.
I would just say, if you want to learn more about that, it is on our website. We have a clear page. We are dedicated to transparency so that everybody can see what our funding sources are. I know we received some seed money and support in launching from the American Journalism Project, which if you haven't checked them out, I highly encourage you to. They're doing this work with newsrooms across the country. So if you look at the state of journalism today nationally, there are more Mirror Indies out there, which is great to hear. So they are a large support for us, and then we are trying to work on a diversified mix of funding as we develop it. And like Claire said, we launched in December. So we're looking at a mix of foundational support, and then as well, kind of almost an NPR model of reader-supported donations too.
Do you provide your data, your stories to the Star, for example, or to other media for them to quote you? Do you provide your stories for the community larger than you? Do you do that? And secondly, foundations like Lilly Foundation should be something that they would be very interested in this, since they're always looking for a character, trying to promote character of students. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, I know we have a development director who's constantly having conversations and going after foundations like Lilly. I can't speak to what their current status is with that particular group, but we have someone whose entire job it is to help us think about that long-term longevity of our product. And then Claire had mentioned as well at the start of our talk that we do partner with most news outlets in town. Actually, we have a Creative Commons license, so anyone who wants to republish our stories with credit is allowed to. Wish TV has been a frequent draw of our stories. We also partner with Chalkbeat, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indianapolis Business Journal. I'm trying to think of some others. We've done quite a bit of partnership. The Indiana Capital Chronicle has pulled from our work.
WFYI, Indiana Public Media. Yeah, it's been really cool to see how far our stories can go. I was really excited that one of my stories was republished by a student newspaper, the Purdue student newspaper. That was very cool for me because I was like, yay, student journalism, that's where I got my start. But I feel it's like every other day someone is in the chat, like, a Mirror Indy story got picked up by someone in a totally different state, and you're like, oh, that's really cool that, you know, our work's not behind a paywall and anyone can republish it and it's reaching a lot more people.
And it's worth noting many of these partners share a two-way connection with us. So if we know that someone like Chalkbeat or Channel 8 are going to come out with a story that would be of service or value to our readers, rather than maybe the past model of journalism where everyone puts their own reporter on a story, we are able to take their story and we can go focus on a story that's not being told, right? So it's also just being smart about our resources. So I find I'm happiest when I show up to a meeting and I'm the only reporter in the room, which sounds sad, right? Because we want to see lots of reporters in rooms. However, that's one thing we're also trying to work on through our Indy Documenters program. And maybe Claire, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So Indy Documenters is, I think, one of the coolest things about Mirror Indy. Basically, it's a program that exists in a couple of other cities, including Cleveland, but we pay just normal citizens, folks, to attend public meetings. Our community journalism director, Ariana Beatty, is like made for this job. She knows everyone and everything, and she does a really great job of getting folks out and getting them trained. But I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe you get $20 an hour for in-person meetings, $18 an hour for virtual meetings, and you just attend a quick training, and then you can go to public meetings, take notes, and get paid. They get published on the Indy Documenters website, and then occasionally on our website, mirrorindy.org, as well. A couple of recent examples, they cover some of the city county council meetings, the committee meetings, some school boards, but also like the library board, the IMPD police citizen complaint board. I always get that one wrong. But it's really amazing. It's just like creating a new public record of you know, what the government and public agencies are doing, and making sure that everyone you know, knows what's going on. So,
and those notes are available to anyone, so you can go on today and look them up. I use them, I've drawn story ideas from them, I've talked to documenters and said, hey, how did this meeting go? And then put some calls, followed up, and reported a story based on it. I also know other reporters in town are starting to look at them, so it is great. It's such a resource.
Are there any student newspapers that you deal with? For example, when I was at Shortridge, Judy, there was a Daily Echo, and it was very famous. It went on for 100 years. There are various newspapers out there that come to, so kids can get educated about issues which they may not have time to see except by you. I mean, particularly in this election time. What are the facts, as Jeffrey referred to? What are the real facts? And maybe you can help in that regard right now. You know?
Yeah.
Right, and to piggyback on, yes, we talked about this in the car coming down. Yeah, when I was at Shortridge, we had, the Echo had been published already for 100 years. It is not now, I know, though the kids got hands-on with actually printing it, writing the news, reading it. Do you have active links so that they can not just once in a while hear about a big activity like their closet where they dispense food and stuff, but ongoing encouraging them to express themselves with words so that other people can understand, so that you're helping to sort of tutor. I mean, do they even have student newspapers anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And they do,
Yes,
and I
they do.
read them because I like to know what's going on in schools. It's a wonderful
too.
resource. I know you deal with it from the higher education perspective, and I do maybe a little less so on the K-12 side, but the one position we also failed to mention is we have a community relations director, and her entire job is to be talking to our partners in professional media, college media, and I've heard early talk of high school. I think that'll probably come a little later, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But her entire job is mentoring and bringing on students. We have, I want to say 8 interns this summer.
5, I think.
5?
6.
5, 6. why does this feel like more? We have a lot of interns.
For our
It feels
first year, it's
it
pretty
feels
good.
like a quarter of our newsroom right now, all from different, a majority of them Indiana colleges, and they are working on a project for us called Race and Rush, and they're taking a look at elections coverage in Rush County. And they're getting firsthand experience reporting in a rural community, and they'll be working on this through the summer, working with the local newspaper in Rush County to see what difference it makes to have that extra hands-on help in an election year. So we're doing some new things. I think the idea is to take those one step at a time. I think Race and Rush is our big one, stepping outside of Marion County. And so when we learn from that, it may inform, how our partner organization moves forward in other parts of the state. But I love that idea of partnering with high school papers. We had a high school paper. I hope it's still in publication. When I was there, the closest I got to the printing process was inky hands delivering the paper to newsrooms. So, but no, I love that suggestion. Yes.
I do read the Mirror on my email, and so I appreciate getting it, and there is a lot of focus on the social aspects of community and so forth, but I'm really interested in the academic side of education, and I don't see as much focus, and to me, that's what it's all about, is making our educational experience for our young people better and more effective. And what are you doing to bring about some focus on that aspect?
So when you say academic, are you talking about, can you maybe hone in on that for me? Are you talking curriculums? Are you talking about academia and higher education? Tell me your thoughts more.
Anything that helps our children be able to read at the third grade level before they're passed on to the fourth grade level and things like that. Anything that helps them be educationally prepared for the future. From an academic standpoint, that's what school originally is all about. Actually, there's lots of other things that come into play, but getting an education and being able to read and understand personal finances and the economy and basic things. What are you doing to focus on informing us about what's going on in that world?
I love that question because I come from a family of lots of teachers. So this is like a frequent topic at our dinner table. I will say Carly has done amazing coverage of the effort to bring the science of reading to Indiana schools. There was a bill this session that passed retention for third graders who don't pass the reading exam. So she did a really great story on that. So Carly is all over the academia, even if it doesn't make our newsletter super often. I think from the higher education side, I really love focusing on I love focusing on programs or areas of academia that people don't know about. So maybe a preview, but I just found out that there is a sign language program at Vincennes University, which I'm very interested in learning more about and covering. But I'm also really focused on higher education from a political sense. I did a lot of reporting on what can and can't be said in classrooms as far as the some of the bills that were passed this session. There were some concerns from professors over what they'd be able to teach. It's something that I'm really working on because I'm very new at covering higher education. Carly's been in this for a while, so I'm still learning, the best practice behind reporting on curriculum and academia and what people are interested in and what they think is too dry. So I'm always open to suggestions about what you'd like to see more of.
No, and I love that question as well because it's a huge issue for Indiana right now, and it carries up through middle school, high school, into our workforce. It really is the backbone of how we're doing as a community, right? So I would say our coverage of literacy has been very programmatic at this point. So just this week, Monday, actually, we published a story about Indy Summer Learning Labs. If you're familiar with that program, they help existing summer programs staff their curriculum and education component with licensed teachers. We're talking about like grassroots small programs. It could be like church basements that are, you know, taking kids in for the summer and doing fun activities with them, but maybe need that extra educational support. Maybe they weren't able to hire a teacher. With this program, they're able to do that. I believe it's funded by the state. They received a boost in the last budget session, and they'll be going back to the State House this year to hopefully continue that funding. So we're looking at kind of really what the grassroots and programmatic efforts have been to boost what's happening in schools. Another little preview, you guys are getting all the treats. I am working on a story today about a program that's working hands-on with parents so that they can understand the changes. If you've never seen Science of Reading in action, it is so different than how you and I learned to read. It's very structured, it's very phonics driven, and I didn't understand it until I saw it. I would have thought just reading stories at bedtime would be enough for, you know, I don't have a kid yet, but for my kid, I have one. So that's a program that actually teaches parents about how their kids are learning to read so that they can mimic some of that at home and help boost what they're learning in the classroom in a comfortable environment, right? Maybe, you know, structured classroom desk isn't where you learn best. Maybe having that at home helps you. I'm trying to think, I don't know if you guys have heard about the mini bookmobiles that the library drives around. I'm going out on a ride along with them later this summer. So there's a lot of great programs. I think it goes back to what we're saying. Just like we want to see more behind the scenes of what students are doing in classrooms, we also want to feature educators in that way as well. Because there are a lot of great programs happening. I think the problem, just my 2 cents, is not enough people know about these programs. And so that's where we hope to step in, is sharing that this work is happening and also letting families know how they can take advantage of them. So yeah, that's a lot. Any other questions? I love that question. Yes.
You guys speaking education, so there's your 20% of the staff. What do the rest of the team work with?
Yeah, so we have a business reporter, a city hall reporter, I'm gonna miss some, a health reporter. We have, our business reporter is really focused on, his title is actually economics reporter, and he really wants to cover housing and labor, so like work, unions, that type of thing. And then I think our most unique thing is we have an East Side reporter and a West Side reporter. So they cover basically, like, I don't know exactly how to define the boundaries, but just you know, issues that affect the West Side and the East Side, programs over there, and just like cool stories of neighbors doing awesome things. Our West Side reporter is amazing, and he wrote this story I think about all the time about this mechanic who just had this amazing backstory and built his business up from the ground up, and it was a really wonderful story that a lot of people read, and that is, you know, really one of the things that we're trying to do at Mirror Indy is write stories about people. And we also have a data reporter who is award-winning and has done amazing accountability work.
Like many others, I enjoy reading your articles.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, we try to hit that sweet spot of daily coverage, resources, but also creating time for diving deeper into things. So investigative work is also important to us too.
Awesome.
We want to thank you. You've really educated us.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much for having us. We appreciate it.
Carly and Claire, thank you so much. We are going to make a donation in your honor to Changing Footprints. They collect, sort, and redistribute unused shoes each year to those in need locally across the U.S. and in 21 countries.
That's wonderful.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
If you have some information for them, I'd love to get in
Oh,
touch.
we can do that for you.
Thank you.
Hey, we helped them write a story. Woo. Roger has one announcement he forgot.
This happens to me a lot. I fall asleep. Right, baby? No, the only thing is IOZO's luncheon on Monday, this Monday. third Monday of each month. We're canceling it. People are gone, vacations, etc. So look for it back in August at Ioza's, the finest Italian restaurant in town. And some of them said the best restaurant in town. Thank you, Mary.
No nepotism here.
No.
No nepotism here. Okay, are you ready for the stupid dad joke?
Sure.
Here we go. How does dry skin affect your work? You don't have any elbow grease to put into it. Yuckity yuck. Okay, so here we go. On the 25th on Zoom, if you recall, Elizabeth Carr was supposed to come and she got sick. She's the first in vitro fertilization baby. So she's going to talk on the 25th on Zoom. So hope you can all get on your computers and watch it. It should
And
be an
then next
interesting
week, too.
program. And then next week, if you remember, the 18th are the three troublemakers in the back table and Motor Speedway. It should be an interesting conversation. Thank you all, and we are adjourned.